Do you want to be a leader in your life? Like, do you want to be the person who takes people to higher levels? But sometimes when you get leadership opportunities, you either shy away, or you get lost and confused, or you just don't make good choices in that moment. Leadership's a really powerful thing, but it's a thing that a lot of people struggle to do well. So today I want to share 4 tips that you can apply if you want to be a great leader in your life. Can you identify one of the most powerful leaders in your life? Like the person in your life who actually helped you transform yourself in a really powerful way. Like I know as I ask that question of you, there's some people in my life who I wouldn't be the person I was today if they weren't in my life. Like at certain times they asked more of me, they got more out of me, they took me to places which I maybe didn't think I could get to by myself in that moment. And these people are people I look back on with like so much kind of attractiveness towards those people because of the impact they had on my life. And when we think about leadership, ultimately, that's what great leaders have the ability to do. They can open up people to possibility and development of self and what they can do. And the impact they have is absolutely huge. But the thing about leadership is hard because leadership takes you to a place where you also have to confront some really hard things. And sometimes when people get leadership opportunities, they either shy away from the opportunities or they just make mistakes in those opportunities. So today I just want to share 4 tips around how you can be a better leader. Why could I say this? Well, I've stood in front of like 500 to 1,000 people for over 20 years of my life. So I really have been lots of opportunity of standing in front of people and helping guide them to places they can't get to by themselves. So let's dig into it. Tip number 1 is you have to understand your philosophy as a leader. You have to have this strong foundation of what your philosophy is as a leader. I think about myself as a group fitness instructor. Now, when people come to my classes, if people were to say, what's Bevan's class like? I imagine there's a couple of words that will come up. One is, he's high energy. Like I've always had lots of energy. The second would be, he's a bit of a clown. Like I like having fun when I'm teaching. I'm a bit of an idiot. I like making funny comments and so on. I like getting laughs out of people. And while high energy, and probably another one is I'm a good connector. I'm good with people. I like people. So, I'm good at bringing people together. Now, while these 3 things are really important to me being successful as an instructor, I actually think the number one thing that makes me successful as an instructor is my philosophy and my understanding of my job is to take you to a place that you can't get to by yourself. And I'm not going to let you off the hook. It's a high standard that I maintain when I teach fitness classes. And this is one of my base foundations as a leader. So when I look at my class and they're not stepping up to the plate, I'm not going to let them off the hook. I'm going to challenge them. I'm going to guide them. I'm going to pull them through. And this is one of my philosophies I have as a leader, not just as a group fitness instructor, in any area of life where I'm trying to guide someone to that next level in my life. And so I think the first thing you've got to get right as a leader is you've got to understand what is my base foundation, my philosophy as a leader. Because if you can get a deep understanding of what that is, then it's almost where you take your first step forward from when you're being a leader. Like think about those leaders you identified earlier. Do you think they had a really strong foundation of what they thought leadership was and what their philosophy around leadership was? And that leads well into the second point. The second point is you've got to see the opportunities when you've got to be a leader, and you've got to step up to the plate. You've got to see the opportunities and you've got to step up to your plate. Now, sometimes stepping up to the plate is really easy. I've got to be honest. In a fitness class, to stand beside someone and ask more of them is actually not that challenging. Like it's a pretty easy thing for me to do. But sometimes there's moments where you've got to be a leader. And I'll give you a good example. We had a running coach for us for a while, a few years ago. And she left us in a really bad way. She didn't leave the business in a bad way. She left us as a coach in a really bad way. And she was young and she just was very immature in the way she left our business. And at that time, it was a moment where I went to my philosophy and my job is to make this person be a better person. And so in this moment, what I had to do is I had to use this as a teaching opportunity to teach her about maturity. Now, this was a bit of an uncomfortable situation for me because I like to please people. I like being liked. I don't want to upset people along the way, but also because I have this foundation of my job is to help people be a high level person. I knew that in this moment, I had to step up to the plate and I had to call this person. I had to have a conversation around maturity as an adult. And so gave her the call, and it was a really powerful conversation. And as much as she had kind of let the business down and behaved in a really immature way, my interaction with her left her with an understanding that if you want to be an adult and you want the world to respect you, you need to act in ways that demand that respect. And I talk her through how she could have done things better and so on and so on. So in that moment, me stepping up the plate was a little bit uncomfortable. But it was a leadership opportunity for someone who was actually leaving my business. But I wanted to make sure that the impact I had on her was one that made her a better person in her life moving forward. And so when we think about being a leader, it's A, seeing the opportunity and always stepping up to the plate. Now, sometimes when you step up to the plate, it's going to be easy. Me standing next to somebody in a fitness class. Sometimes it's going to be really hard. But sometimes you're going to say, I'm the leader. What's my philosophy? And what am I going to do right now? Step number 3 is to think about where the person is on their journey and what's the right messaging you need to give them based on the development that this person needs. Let's just think back to the example I shared. So this young girl, she was young. She was probably what happened was she didn't want to upset us, so she didn't say anything. So she kind of acted kind of poorly in that moment. Well, in that moment, what she needed to learn was maturity. That if you want to be an adult, you've got to act in adult ways at times, which means sometimes you just got to do the hard thing. So I understood the lesson that she needed to learn in that moment. And then secondly, I had to think about how I was going to communicate that message in the most powerful way possible. Because in the communication of your message, you can either have massive impact or it can have a massive negative effect. So once you understand the needs and the growth of this person, what's the best way to communicate it that can have the most powerful impact for this person moving forward? That's step number 3. And then step number 4, if you've got a long-term relationship with this person, ultimately what you want to do is you want to create a pathway where you support and guide them. So great leadership isn't just saying the hard thing, it's ultimately saying the hard thing and also holding their hand through the process and doing it in a real great mentor guiding way. So you're kind of setting them up for success so they can learn the right lesson at the right time without overwhelming them and making them feel like they're failing. If you want to be a great leader in your life, and I've got to be honest, there's so much more to leadership than these 4 things, but these are really awesome. These 4 things are a really great way to think about leadership. So again, what are they? Understand your base philosophy as a leader. Again, mine is, my job is to take you to a place that you can't get to by yourself, including many others. Secondly, see opportunities where you get to be the leader and step up to the plate. Sometimes they'll be easy, but a lot of times they'll be hard. And in that moment, how do you make sure you step up to the plate to take the action? Third, understand the lesson the person needs to learn and the most powerful way to communicate it that helps them move towards doing the action of those lessons. And then fourthly, guide and support them as they walk down that pathway. The thing about that person who supported you, think back to that question I asked at the start, that person who supported you to be the best version of yourself or be the next version of yourself, look at the impact they had on your life. Imagine if you could have that impact on many people in your life. And that's what great leaders do. So fingers crossed, you can apply these lessons and you can become a great leader, having massive impact on the people in your life as well.